To get started with the color wheel project, you're going to work in pairs at your tables. So per table, you'll need one paper plate that has your primary colors. You'll need 2 additional paper plates for each of you to mix your own colors on. You'll need a set of brushes in assorted sizes. There's a whole bunch of them right there, so you'll kind of dig through there, each pair of you, to get some brushes to share. You will need a water cup. So these water cups are stored in this container, and you'll find the clean water bucket and you'll scoop up some clean water. Later on, when your water gets dirty after you've rinsed out, there's a dirty water bucket for you to dump out your dirty water, and then you can get more clean. Okay, so those are the materials that you need. In addition to that, you're going to need paper towels, and you will need your painting handout. The very first thing you want to do when you have your station all set up to get started is to write your name on this and your block. There are going to be like 55 students that are doing the exact same project, and they'll all pretty much look the same. So get your name and your block put on there, and then you will read the directions. I'll read them to you now. It says use primary colors only. So we've got our primary colors here. Paint the color wheel below. First, paint the red, yellow, and blue primary sections. So what I would do for this one, I'm just going to start kind of wetting down my brush, dabbing it a little bit, making sure there's no other color already on it. And I'm gonna just start. Yellow's up at the top here. I'm gonna get that. I may even dab it a little on the plate just to make sure. So for my primaries, I don't really need my own plate yet because I'm not mixing anything. When I do start mixing my colors, I will want to do that on my own plate. Okay, so we've painted all the primary colors. Now you're going to start on your own plate mixing your secondaries. So what I would do is I would designate a brush for each color. Now my red brush just rolled into my blue, so I'm going to clean it off so that it is only red. Okay. Actually, this is a very small brush. I'm actually going to just clean it off and set it aside. I'm going to take a different one. That'll be my red brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start mixing my colors on my plate. I'm mixing my secondary colors, and I need to use the secondary colors for 3 different segments. I'll need to mix up enough green to paint the green segment, and then also enough green so that I can mix more yellow into it for yellow green and more blue in it for blue green. So I'm going to need to keep that in mind as I mix all my colors, that I'm going to want extra of each one. So when I start mixing my green, I'm going to start with the lighter color. Anytime you're mixing, you'll want to start with the lighter of the 2 colors. So I'm just going to take some yellow from the main plate. So this might seem like a lot just for that one section, but remember, I'm going to be mixing it with yellow again later to make yellow green, and I'll add blue in to make blue green. Okay, so I've got my yellow. Now I'm going to add in blue, but I just want to add in a tiny bit, and I'm going to scoop up quite a bit on the brush and drop it in, kind of flick it in there. It'll just kind of drip. Maybe one more little drip, okay? And then I will use a different brush to stir it. Okay, so I'm going to stir it around. And this to me is still a little bit too yellow-green. I need more blue. So I'm just going to put another drop. It up really, really well and not see any blue or yellow streaks running through it. So it needs to just be green altogether. Okay, kind of looks grassy. You know what? Honestly, I need just a tiny bit more blue. All right, so now that you have all of your primary and your secondary colors on your color wheel, you are ready to mix up your tertiary. So you're gonna go back to your green, and again, make sure you have clean brushes, that you're only mixing in either yellow or blue alone and like you don't have purple left on there. So you really want to clean your brushes up. At this point, you may actually want to go get clean water, refill. You might need new brushes, or at least to clean your brushes really well. So you just don't want to be mixing any extra colors in. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with my yellow, or my green. So I've got yellow, green. So on one side of my green, I'm going to add in some more yellow. And then you'll repeat that process for all of the other tertiary colors. So you'll mix, next I'm going to mix blue into green to make blue green, and I'll mix blue into the violet to make blue violet, red into the violet to make a red violet, and just continue that process until the entire color wheel is completed. Then you're going to answer the questions down below. And you are not going to throw away your paint yet. You're also going to use the paint for a next assignment, which is looking at value and intensity. And so if you keep your paints, you won't have to do as much mixing for the next activity. All right, so I've got one section done, and I just need to continue on with all of my other tertiaries. Have a handout that looks similar to this. It may change just a little bit. We're working on an intensity scale and a value scale. So what we're going to start with on the top one. So it'll look something like this, but it'll probably look a little cleaner and neater. I just don't have them copied yet. So what you'll start with is you're going to choose a main color that you want to use, and you're going to add its complement. I would suggest either choosing red and green or blue and orange. I would not recommend using violet and yellow for this activity because it just takes a tiny bit of yellow or purple in the yellow before it just changes too quickly. So we want to see a gradual change as we add the complement. So I'm going to do, let's see here, I'm going to do blue and orange. So I'm going to start out just with blue. That's my main color. So I will just paint the main color box. All right, then on my paper plate, I am going to mix in blue's complement. So if you are using blue, you will make sure to mix in orange. If your main color is red, then you will mix in green. And again, I recommend not using yellow. All right, so I am going to go ahead and get some blue over here, just kind of next to my orange. I really don't need a ton because it's going to take very little paint for me to make the change I need to. Okay, so I've got a blue pile here. Then I'm going to take my brush that was orange, and I'm just going to get a teeny tiny bit. It does not have to be much, okay? I'm just going to get a tiny little bit of orange, and I'm going to mix it in to the blue. So you will not see much of a change here. I don't want to add too much too soon. I want it to be a gradual change. If you add a ton of orange in right away, or whatever the complement is, then you will see a drastic change from the beginning, and then it'll end up turning kind of a gross color before you're ready for that, okay? So you'll just repeat this process all the way across. So you'll continue to go back to this pile of paint and just repeatedly add a teeny tiny, very small amount of orange into it. Or if you are doing red, you'll continuously add just a tiny bit more green into it, whichever one you are working with. All right, so on here, basically what you're looking for is for the main color, that bright bold blue, it's gonna decrease in its intensity as it goes across. So as I would continue to add orange into that, eventually it would turn to like a rusty orange brown color. All right, the final step, you can use any color that you would like. Just pick whichever one you think is the nicest or the most attractive on your plate. I am gonna start with purple or violet as my main color. I just really liked how that looked. And so that's gonna go in the middle as my main. I just take it directly from the plate and paint the section here. And then I want to see what is going to happen if I add white. And then what will happen if I add black. So I'm going to be creating tints and shades. Okay, so I'm going to scoop up some paint over here just so it can be close by. And now I am going to get some white. I added just a little bit of white. You may not notice too big of a change right off the bat. This is a value scale, so it's changing the value of the hue by creating tints and shades. If we had gray involved, we could create tones. Okay, now I'm going to add some more white. All right, so to finish up, you are going to clean up. You are going to make sure your name is on both of your papers. You are going to wash all of your brushes. You're going to dump out your water cup, throw away your plates, clean all your brushes. If I didn't mention that already, clean them very well so that there's no paint left in them. In addition to rinsing out your water cup, you're also going to dry it out, put it back in the container, and you'll grab some spray. It's like an all-purpose cleaner. You'll spray down your tabletop, dry it up with a paper towel, and you will take your two papers, the color wheel and the value and intensity scale, and you'll take them out to the hallway. Again, make sure your name and your block is on those because there's going to be a whole bunch of them that look exactly alike. Do an extra good job cleaning up everything today, making sure that your station is totally clean. If you get paint on anything, like I let one of my brushes roll down and hit the floor, there's paint on the floor. I need to clean that up, okay?